My best friend fell in love with my partner, and it destroyed everything. What would you do if the two people you trusted most, your partner and your best friend, crossed lines that should never be crossed? Hairline fractures. Friendship and love were the two pillars that held my life upright. Claire was the friend who knew my ugliest truths and still answered my calls at 2 a.m. Evan, my partner of 4 years, was the quiet shore I washed up on when the day had chewed me to pieces. If there was a safe triangle on Earth, it was the space between the three of us, me, Claire, and Evan. They met at my birthday 3 summers ago. Claire arrived late, storming into my apartment with a thrift store gift bag and the smell of rain. Evan crossed the room in his gentle way to take her coat, and she grinned like a dare. "So you're the famous Evan," she said. "The man who somehow convinced her to watch documentaries for fun." He laughed, a small sunlit sound, and the night folded itself into a warm memory I kept replaying for months. After that, the three of us orbited each other easily. Trivia nights, moving day pizza, Sunday coffee runs that stretched into walks through the neighborhood, where Claire pretended to be a real estate agent and narrated the lives of strangers behind bay windows. I watched them tease each other like siblings and felt lucky, truly, stupidly lucky, to have two people who loved me in such different, compatible ways. Maybe that's why I missed the first cracks. They began like hairline fractures along glass. Barely there, just glints if the light hit right. Claire started texting Evan directly about logistics, surprise parties, gift ideas, a recipe she swore would convert him to mushrooms. I didn't mind. Streamlined, right? Adulting. But logistics leaked into anecdotes, and anecdotes bloomed into inside jokes that arrived in my phone as screenshots. A meme she'd sent him, a look what Evan said that I didn't quite understand because I hadn't been part of that conversation. I told myself it was fine. Claire is a comet. When she likes people, she loops them into the warmth of her tail. Evan is a harbor. Everyone relaxes around him. Of course they would get along. Then came the looks. The first time I saw it, we were at a food truck park, elbows brushed with strangers, steam curling from paper boats of noodles. Claire was telling a story about her awful boss, the one with the motivational mug that said hustle harder as if exhaustion were a personality. Evan laughed at the punchline, tipped his head, and looked at her with that soft attention I'd always claimed like a blanket. It wasn't romantic. Not yet. It was luminous. And I saw in Claire's face a split-second startle, as if a window had opened where a wall used to be. I forgot it by morning. The mind is merciful like that, until the reminders multiplied. Claire lingered after group hangouts, offering to help wash dishes even though she'd once called dishwashing a war crime against cuticles. Evan, who hated clutter, kept the thrifted mug she'd brought him, paint chipped, handle slightly loose. He said the flaws gave it character. We all learned a new language for our days, sentences that started with Claire says and Evan thinks. And I laughed along because what else do you do when your life is the punchline and you're the only one who hasn't heard it yet? One night, rain needled the windows and the city felt like a closed fist. I was pulling lasagna from the oven when Claire knocked without warning. Her hair was damp, her eyeliner smudged into a smoky halo. "I needed faces that don't lie to me," she said, breezing in. Evan poured her wine. We ate on the couch, too lazy for the table, sharing a blanket that felt suddenly like a border. Claire talked about her boss, about the way ambition in that office came with a body count. Evan asked questions he usually saved for me. Slow, generous questions that made space for the answer to take a breath. After she left, I leaned against the counter and tried to articulate the ache to Evan. "Do you ever think Claire? Do you think she's lonely?" "Claire." He wiped the counter in small, absent circles. "She's a human festival. But yeah, sometimes the loudest tents fall first." I loved him for that sentence and hated that it made me cry in the dark later. Because I had heard an echo in it, a tenderness that didn't bounce back to me. There were other moments. In the park, a dog exploded toward us, a golden retriever with a grin like a dropped pie. Claire squealed, dropped to her knees, and the dog painted her with joy. Evan laughed and said, "You're sunshine proof." And she looked up, breathless, and said, "Teach me to be steady like you." I pretended not to hear the spine tingle in the air where a new story was trying to begin. Denial is an ecosystem. You feed it with busyness and good intentions. I planned weekend trips. I collected little evidences of normal. Rent paid on time, shared grocery lists, photos of the three of us at street festivals. My arm looped through hers, his hand on my shoulder. See, the photos insisted. We are fine. But the nights got thinner. I lay awake listening to Evan breathe, inventorying every conversation, searching for the exact sentence where the ground had shifted, a fault line you could trip on if you knew where to look. The next morning I would scold myself for melodrama. Stop drafting tragedies, I told the mirror. Start a different genre. The genre chose me. It was a Wednesday when the fight with my mother detonated. She wanted me home for a family thing I had neither energy nor vacation days to attend. I hung up raw and shaking, and Evan had an early shift. Claire texted first. Coffee? I said yes. We met at our spot, the barista who knew our orders sliding 2 mugs down the counter like he was dealing cards in a Kinder universe. I hate being the rope in a tug-of-war, I said. Say no, Claire said. Let no be a complete sentence. You make it sound like a poem. Everything is a poem if you line break the guilt. I laughed. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Her thumb stayed a heartbeat longer than friendship requires. After coffee, she walked me home, that easy roommate muscle memory. Evan was on lunch, surprise. He kissed my forehead, then hugged Claire, the kind of hug you give someone you've started to memorize. I saw it then, without soft focus or excuses. The way her lungs paused under his touch, the way his hands found her shoulders like they already knew the map. The air went thin. A hairline crack sang in the glass. That night, I told myself facts. Claire and I are forever. Evan and I are building a life. People can love each other platonically with intensity. We're adults. This is sustainable. We can hold the triangle. And then I found the message by accident. I was scrolling through a shared playlist on Evan's tablet, queuing up music for dinner, when a notification banner slid across the top like a blade. From Claire. 3 words. Not a confession, not a scandal. Just, you were kind. You were kind. How many stories begin there? A kindness that grows teeth. A soft place that teaches someone to lean until leaning becomes falling. I clicked out of the playlist with hands that wouldn't steady. I didn't open their thread. I didn't need to. In my mouth, I could taste the story's next chapter. In my chest, something braced for impact. The glass didn't shatter yet. Glass rarely does. It sings first. Lines we don't cross until we do. The morning after the "you were kind" notification, the apartment felt misaligned, like every object had been nudged half a degree left. Evan made coffee. I buttered toast I didn't want. We joked about a headline he'd read, and the laughter clattered to the floor between us. Nothing was wrong, and everything was. At work, emails stacked like bricks, each one a new wall. I kept replaying that banner, its lowercase tenderness. Not you were amazing or you were hot. Kind. The sort of word you tuck into someone's pocket for later. The sort of word you fall for because it promises a life without sharp corners. By evening, I decided to choose normal. I invited Claire over for a movie, our old ritual. Popcorn, blankets, something we'd both already seen, so talking through it felt like respect, not rudeness. When she arrived, she stood in the doorway longer than usual, as if waiting to be invited into a life that used to open automatically. Hey, stranger, I said, aiming for light. I made a new popcorn salt. Chili lime. You're an alchemist, she said, stepping in. Her smile was bright enough to make me doubt my doubt, the way a stage light erases dust. Evan queued up the movie. Claire curled into the far end of the couch, legs tucked under her. I took the middle, a human armrest. For the first 20 minutes, we were a picture of the past. Lines from memory, jokes like well-worn stones. Then Claire's phone buzzed. She glanced down, then up at Evan. He looked over out of reflex, the way you look when someone else's attention exits the room. Everything okay? He asked. Work, she said too fast, flipping the phone face down. My boss thinks time zones are a myth. The room cooled a degree. The movie went on pretending we were fine. Halfway through, a storm came in quick, wind strobing the blinds. The living room became a ship. Claire pulled the blanket to her chin. Evan got up to check the windows, and lightning briefly rode him in silver. I thought, if I say nothing, this will write itself without me. I said something. Hey, I blurted, pausing the movie. Can we do a quick honesty round? Both heads turned. Evan sat back down slowly. Claire studied my face like a map. Honesty round, she said, trying to laugh. Is this charades for emotionally literate people? Maybe, I said. Level 1. I saw a message yesterday. On the tablet. From you. I looked at Claire. You were kind. Silence shaped itself into a fourth person in the room. Claire's throat moved. That was about the lasagna night. I was a mess. Evan, asked good questions. It helped. Evan's hands went palm up. I should have told you she reached out, he said to me. I didn't because it was about work stuff, and then it felt like I'd be making it weird. Here's the problem, I said softly. It's already weird, and I don't want it to be. So if there's something I should know, can we say it, and then decide what to do like adults? Claire was the first to break. She folded into herself, that bright hurricane of a woman collapsing into the quiet eye of her own storm. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't plan it. I hate that it's true. But yes, I have feelings for him. I've been trying to kill them with jokes and errands and pep talks, but they're feral, and every time I feed them denial, they come back hungrier. The room tipped. The storm outside applauded. Evan closed his eyes and breathed out like he'd been holding his lungs hostage. Claire, he said, and even the way he said her name was careful, gentle, but boarded up. I care about you. A lot. But I'm with her. I know. Claire said quickly, hands lifted as if warding off blame. I know lines. I haven't crossed any. I won't. I thought I could manage it, and I'm failing at pretending I'm fine. The terrible, tender part of me wanted to comfort her. The territorial, tremoring part wanted to burn the house down and dance in the ashes. I chose a third thing. I told the truth. Thank you for saying it. I managed. It doesn't make it hurt less, but it means we're not building lies on top of lies. So let's build rules instead. Rules, Claire echoed, wary, hopeful. Boundaries, I said. Not because I don't trust you, but because I need to feel like my home is mine. No one-on-one hangs here for a while. Group settings, fine. Shared threads, include me. And space. Time apart until this subsides. Claire flinched like I'd turned down the dimmer on the sun. You're right, she whispered. I'll make it easy. I can take a work trip. Or visit my sister. Disappear, if that's what you need. I don't want you to disappear, I said, and heard the crack in my own voice. I want my friend back. But I also want to sleep next to my partner without hearing glass sing. Evan looked at both of us like we were two fires he couldn't put out with the same bucket. I'll do whatever you need, he said to me. I'm in this with you. We tried the rules. For a week, it even worked. Group dinners where conversations stuck to wide lanes. Text threads that looked like board meeting minutes. Claire sent me photos of ugly hotel carpets and office snacks that tasted like suitcase. I sent her memes and asked about her sister's new baby. We practiced being okay out loud, like learning a language badly, but earnestly. Then the leak. A mutual friend, drunk at a birthday, tilted a story into my lap accidentally. It was cute, she said, smiling. Evan was helping Claire carry boxes up to her walk-up last month. Oh my God, did I blow a secret? And they looked like one of those indie movie couples who adopt a plant. Don't be mad. I'm projecting. They're just aesthetically pleasing. I sipped my drink and tasted rust. The boxes I hadn't known about. The boxes Evan hadn't mentioned. Not sin, not scandal, just a mission, the soft kind that hollows beams. That night I asked him, careful as if unpinning a grenade, did you help Claire move some things? He rubbed his neck. Yeah, a few boxes from her storage unit. I should have told you. I didn't because of the rules, and I didn't want to create drama over kindness. Kindness seems to be the gateway drug, I said, and hated how bitter I sounded, because some part of me still worshipped his impulse to help. We reset the rules tighter. No favors. No errands. If she needed a truck, we would find her a tasker. If she needed a listener, she had me, or a therapist. We would cut off the food supply to the feeling and starve it. Feelings are resourceful. They root through locked cupboards. They learn to photosynthesize. Claire tried. I'll give her that. She texted less. She started a ceramics class. Her messages came glazed. Bowls, mugs, a lopsided vase she named after my laugh. Then, on a Tuesday, my phone buzzed with a photo of a small cracked cup and the caption, Kintsugi, gold in the breaks. I stared at it too long, the metaphor landing like a hand on the back of my neck. Evan was doing dishes when I walked into the kitchen, sleeves rolled, my favorite domestic miracle. Do you believe in Kintsugi? I asked, setting the phone face down. In the art? Sure, he said, smiling. In relationships? I'd rather avoid the break. So would I said. Help me avoid it. We scheduled a weekend away. No phones, no friends. Just us and a borrowed cabin that smelled like cedar and old laughter. For 40 hours, we were two people who chose each other on purpose. We cooked, hiked, fell asleep at 9:30 like retirees. For the first time in weeks, my belly unclenched. I thought, maybe we can do this. Maybe love is a muscle we can rehab. On Sunday night, the universe sent a test. We were back in the city, laundry tumbling like soft thunder, when Claire called. I almost didn't pick up. I did because the photo of the cracked cup was still in my head, and love is a reflex you unlearn slowly. Her voice shook. I'm at the ER with my sister. It's not. She's okay, but it's scary. They might keep the baby overnight for observation. I'm alone in the waiting room. Could you come? Every rule we wrote started squeaking like a weather vane in sudden wind. I looked at Evan. He was already tossing shoes on, reaching for keys. I'll go, I said. We'll go, he said. Claire was small in the vinyl chair, mascara stamped under her eyes like thumbprints. When she saw us, she stood and pressed her forehead to mine the way she does when the armor falls off. Thank you, she whispered, and then, because the world is both cruel and generous, her sister's partner arrived minutes later, flustered and apologizing, and the crisis became a family circle where we were extras. We walked Claire to the coffee machine. She gripped my hand, then looked at Evan for a beat too long. I felt the tether tighten, then burn. On the drive home, rain needled the windshield. I turned off the radio. We can't do this, I said quietly. Not like this. I'm losing two people at once. Evan's knuckles went pale on the wheel. Tell me the shape of the boundary that would make you feel safe, he said. I'll hold it. I promise. Space, I said. The word felt like eating a dry cracker. Real space. No contact beyond emergencies. A month. For all of us to remember who we are without each other's gravity. He nodded, jaw working. Okay. I texted Claire the same. A month. She answered fast. I'll honor it. I love you. I'm sorry. I'll be here when you're ready to hate me less. I didn't answer. I put my phone face down and watched the city blur. Somewhere behind the blur, a decision was waiting like a door with a lock I hadn't learned yet. The month began the next morning. On day 3, a message arrived anyway. One sentence that shouldn't have made my heart sprint, and did. I didn't cross a line, but I crossed a feeling. I stared at it until my eyes watered. I didn't reply. I just felt the glass start to sing again, higher this time, closer to shatter. The break and the aftermath. A month sounds short until you're inside it. Then it's an ocean. I counted days the way prisoners carve lines into walls. Day 4, I rearranged the kitchen cabinets just to feel like I could control something. Day 9, I walked past our coffee shop and kept my head down as though the window itself might accuse me. Day 15, I dreamed of Claire and woke with her name in my mouth, tasting both love and betrayal like two flavors that didn't belong together. Evan honored the boundary more easily than I expected. He went to work, came home, cooked dinners, folded laundry. He didn't mention her, not once. The silence was its own monster. If her name was Voldemort, he'd banished it completely. I wanted to thank him, and I wanted to scream. Both feelings coiled inside me until I thought I might split. On day 21, I broke. It was a Saturday night, the apartment full of cicada hum from the summer air. I poured wine and sat across from Evan, watching the way his hair curled damp at his temples. Do you miss her? I asked before I could stop myself. He set down his glass carefully, as though it might explode. I miss when it wasn't complicated, he said. When the three of us laughed, and it felt like family. But do I miss her the way you're asking? He shook his head slowly. No, I chose you. Something in me softened, and something else stayed sharp. Then why does it feel like I'm holding on for both of us? Because you're grieving, he said simply. We both are. But grief doesn't cancel love. I wanted to believe him. For that night, I did. But grief is greedy. It doesn't leave room for two healings at once. The 30 days ended. Claire texted first. Can we talk? Neutral ground. I met her at the Botanical Garden Cafe, a place where life insisted on growing even in the cracks of concrete. She looked thinner, hair pulled into a messy knot, eyes rimmed with red. Thank you for coming, she whispered, fingers wrapped around her tea like it might flee. I almost didn't, I admitted. I wouldn't blame you. She drew a long breath. I meant what I said before. I didn't cross a line. But I know wanting to was enough to hurt you. And I hate myself for it. I searched her face. For years, that face had been my mirror, my reminder that I wasn't alone in the world. Now it felt foreign, a language I still knew the grammar of, but had forgotten how to speak. I don't know if I can go back, I said honestly. Not to before, not to best friend sleepovers and telling each other everything. She nodded, eyes shining. Then let's not. Let's go forward instead. Slower. Strangers who used to be sisters, learning if we can build something new. The offer gutted me. It was mercy disguised as exile. We sat in silence, watching a child chase butterflies across the courtyard. At last she said, "Whatever happens, know this. I loved you first. Not him. You. And I still do." I left without answering. Some truths don't want replies. Weeks passed. Evan and I tried to stitch the fabric back together, but the seams kept splitting. It wasn't the affair, there had never been one. It was the possibility, the way imagination can haunt harder than memory. When he touched me, sometimes I felt only the ghost of how she might have wanted that touch. When he said, "I love you," I wondered if part of him wished the triangle could still exist. Love can survive storms, but sometimes it drowns in echoes. One night, after another quiet dinner, I said it. "I don't think we're us anymore." Evan's fork stilled. He didn't argue. He just nodded slowly, eyes heavy with the same grief I carried. "I'll move out next month," he said. And just like that, the triangle collapsed. It's been a year now. Evan lives across town. We exchange polite texts on birthdays. Claire and I, we orbit, careful moons around a burned-out sun. Sometimes we meet for coffee, talking about safe things. Work, traffic, weather. Never about the month that rewrote us. People ask why I don't cut them both off entirely. The answer is complicated. You don't amputate history. You live with the scar, even if it aches in the rain. I've learned something, though. Love and friendship are not indestructible. They're glass, beautiful, luminous, and always singing under pressure. When the cracks appear, you can patch them with gold or let them shatter. Either way, you will never see them the same again. And me? I'm still listening to the glass, waiting to decide whether I'll treasure the fractures or finally sweep them away.